What keeps you trapped inside? Look at the lights that follow you when you run and hide. Look at
Good evening and welcome to our latest Elite FPL podcast with myself, Mr. Ball, and my two good friends, Steve-O and Jason. How are we tonight, chaps?
Good evening, Dan. You're sounding very authoritative there.
Hello, everybody.
Very.
Hello, Jack.
Indeed.
Hello, Jack, who's waiting for a
one's
Christmas tree. As Jack Gleason's in chat, is waiting for a Christmas tree to be delivered.
Oh, excellent. It is a season to be jolly, although the last game week did have me feeling a bit sad. But we're just going to be recapping on game week 16, briefly looking at our Elite FPL mini league and also our Torbay Elite cash league, which, as we always say, we take very seriously because there's money at stake, of course. And just generally looking ahead to game week 17, where we make our predictions for the scores and we discuss players that we're interested in getting in, looking at our strategies ahead. If you're in the live chat, Jay's obviously monitoring at the moment. Say hello, give us your questions, give us your thoughts. Really pleased to have you here with us tonight. And just looking forward to discussing the game week ahead and recapping on everything. So I can see Steve-O's there, busy with his PlayStation 4. Some of us have still got a PlayStation 3, but just looking to recap on our respective leagues.
Yeah, so we'll start off with the Torbay Elite League, which is, like Dan said, our cash league. But looking at Jason's team, he got 52 points, but there's going to be a theme at the moment, which is that man, Digne, who scored that 96th, whatever it was, minute free kick. And I know that Jack in chat had Digne also, and you guys must have been ecstatic at this, Jason.
Saved my game week, absolutely. I put a post on Instagram. I don't normally do Instagram posts, but I was just like, oh my God, I was so happy with that.
Was it 95th minute?
Yeah, right at the end of the game.
Madness.
Happy days.
Yeah, so like we said, we glossed over them because the majority of games happen on Saturday. We did our live reactionary podcast on Sunday evening. If anybody wants to watch it, just go back and watch it, basically. But we've already glossed over our teams, and Jason will have his team up at the moment. So Jason, though, on the overall ranking, he fell to 4,533. It's still a respectable ranking, but at the moment, people, regular watchers of this Elite FPL, I know that Cy Bellamy actually made this point about Jason as an example, possibly panicking regarding his transfers. We'll get to that later on, but yeah, Jason's recent downward spiral has coincided with us basically almost looking at the Elite FPL podcast, bizarrely, but we'll go into that in a minute. So second place, Terry Roos, got a respectable 57 points. Overall rank of 17,122. Had Michael Keane hit this week, and also Richarlison on the Monday night games. Obviously, Richarlison getting the points, and Michael Keane getting just the one solitary point. But he also had, coming off the bench, Alonso, Mane and Wan-Bissaka. So a strong bench there coming off and getting him up to 57 points. So on to Ben Towler. Got a lovely score of 76, but he also took a hit of -4. He also had Digne coming good for him with the 10 points, and obviously Richarlison as well, as you can see there. He is overall rank of 17,578. It's a bit weird with the top, with the second, third, and fourth place spots, because they're all, even though they're close within the mini league, they're also bizarrely really close within the actual overall ranking. And then, of course, we end with fourth spot, Darren Monday. He got a respectable 54 points, but he went down to 17,730.
He also took a -4 as well.
That's correct. That's absolutely right, Jason. So on to me. I got a lovely 66 points. Was very happy with my 12-point hit. Actually worked out to be pretty good in the end. Overall, it was like a -2. Very happy with the Richarlison goal, but I was genuinely gutted at Digne, the scoring, because I knew that hurt me quite hard. But yeah, 66 points, minus 12. But I went down to 50,404. And finally, with the three of us, Dan got 49 points, minus 4, so 45. Went down to 325,000 in the world. So now we can get the guys in chat involved, because we can now look at the Elite FPL. Well, of course, Jack Gleason, who is there at the moment, well, he's ranked 200 and I think it's 277th in the world. Quite extraordinary, really. Got 65 points, but took a hit. He did take out Salah, but again, we've already gone over this. We're not going to spend too long going over the teams, because the majority of the points were scored on the Saturday. So 65 points, overall rank of 277 there. And down into second place, it's Graham Barker, a huge score of 84 points there. And he moved up to 1,497 in the world. And I keep banging on about this little pun here, but there really are some elite players within the Elite FPL here. Down into fourth, it's Ian Darlington, 61 points. But he dropped down to... So when saying this, it sounds like I'm damning them for dropping down to 3,119th, for crying out loud. Ridiculous ranks. And finally, fourth, Suman Gutam, just 37 points, but taken into account a minus 4, he only got 33 points overall. Captain Lacazette, as you can see, and he's down to 4,337. But interestingly, this must be painful for
Very
him.
strong team.
He actually... Sorry, Jason.
He's very unlucky, because he's got a very, very, very well-balanced team, in my opinion. He's got a very strong all-around team. If you look at his team, he's got Pereira, Alexander-Arnold and Wan-Bissaka all on his bench that week. Obviously, Alexander-Arnold didn't play. I know he probably got subbed, but he's got a very strong all-around team with Dunk, Keane, Doherty, Wan-Bissaka, Alexander-Arnold, providing him funds to do the likes of Sterling, Sané. He's got Richarlison in, who's a really good FPL asset. He's got Felipe Anderson, which just seems to be getting points out of the bag every week at the moment. He's got Lacazette, which is very unlucky. He didn't get any returns. And with the big hitter Harry Kane and Raul Jimenez, who's just flying up at the moment in value. And I can see, come the beginning of next year, I think more and more people will be getting Jimenez in because of his fixtures, and because Wolves are actually a good outfit, in my opinion.
Well, the worst thing for Suman is the fact that he actually brought in Pereira this week and he benched him. I always find that really, really peculiar when you bring in, let's be honest here, Pereira ain't cheap. He's point as I look at this now as it loads up, and of course doesn't want it. 6.2. He's 6.2. It's a lot of money to be bring in and then bench him. When if I look at his team, I would probably have played Pereira ahead of Jimenez. He captained Lacazette, but again, we could be here all day talking about the various mini leagues.
I think Dan had a but.
You got that?
No, I was just saying with Pereira, which is interesting. He had 5 shots against Everton, and the fixtures coming up for Watford are looking pretty good. So my mate Pereira that I got rid of might have a reunion with him soon. Who knows? So could be one to consider for the future.
If anybody has anybody got anything in the chat?
Yeah. So we've got a few guys in chat at the moment. We've got Paul Wickett, got 84 this week, just outside 5. Wow. Just outside of the 5k, top 5k, amazing.
Can I just interject as just a funny observation? Do the people that watch this podcast, and they like the world class players of FPL? Because I just find this is ridiculous.
Well,
top 5,000, top 500. What on earth's going on?
We keep advertising our podcast league, and I keep dropping places every time. Like we get all these new teams coming in. I'm just like, oh my god! I remember when I was top of this league, and now I'm like what, 5th? So it's good. It's good though, because I got to fight my way back up to the top again. Jack Gleason's currently battling with the Christmas tree. So good luck on that, Jack. I don't think we'll be seeing him for a little while if he's having to decorate that. John Hatch is in chat saying, I went for a double Chelsea defence from here on in. Oh, wow. Okay. So you want Rudiger and David Luiz? Oh, no. It'll be Alonso and Rudiger, or Alonso and Luiz, I'd imagine. Double Chelsea. That could work out really well for you. Notorious Nerd. After a disappointing game week, I took a -8 point hit on Sunday to remove David Silva, Martial and Ings for Hazard, Son and Kamara. Give your thoughts.
Brilliant.
Was it a good...
Ooh, Kamara.
Oh, Kamara. We'll get on to Kamara. I think that's a very... That is a -8, however, but I do think over the coming weeks, that -8 will not only pay for itself, but it will be very, very, very fruitful moves.
Profitable.
Yeah, profitable. Hello, Dejan Checo's in chat. Sup, lads? 6 of top 20 overall on my fellow Serbians. Really? Wow. Well, must be something in the must be something in the water in Serbia then, because they seem to be producing good FPL managers. Best replacement for Duffy, got a 6 million budget. Ooh, see. 6 Dinya.
Arsenal, Chelsea defenders. Anyone from them too, because their upcoming fixtures for the next 3 are really good.
Maybe Bellerin. Maybe Bellerin.
Yes. Yeah.
Not good
agree with that. But I think we'll move straight on to the preview, Dan. So, like I keep saying, myself, Dan, and the history go up against each other, predicting the upcoming game week results. I would highly recommend anybody watching this now to take notes, because the history and myself are doing absolutely fantastically this season. The history, quite scarily, is pretty accurate when it comes to predicting what will probably happen. Now, last week I was the one that came out on top. At the moment, I've won 7 game weeks. The history's won 6. Dan's only won 3. The history, for any new viewers or anybody that wants to be reminded, is looking back at the last 6 fixtures involved in the particular teams involved. And I also give a nice little statistic that that has been a recurring theme within the specific fixture, and quite a lot of the time it has actually pretty much come true. So again, it's worth looking at. I will also be looking at the more popular captain choices for this week and see how they've done against the specific teams. And again, it's usually come pretty right. So again, it's worth if you're thinking about captaining a popular captain pick, you may be wanting to look away now, because I've got some bad news for you. But that aside, Dan will also choose his dead cert bet, which is quite simply him choosing a team he believes is guaranteed to win. And he's been doing this for the past 17 game weeks, and he's accumulated how much, Dan, so far?
It's about £10. 65 or 66, I can't remember. So it keeps tricking up. No, I mean, it's so far. It's I was going to say so far it's an extraordinary achievement, but it's actually just picking Liverpool and Man City most weeks, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah. So we'll just kick off straight away. And talking of Manchester City, is this potentially one of Dan's dead cert bets? We'll find out. They kick off against Everton. I personally think this is one of 3 games which is going to end in a high scoring for one particular team. Obviously, I'm talking about Manchester City here. I think they're going to be, depending on what happens tonight, although they're through, aren't they, Dan, in the Champions League? I think they're
through. There's not, in the Champions League tonight, there's not really loads to play for. It's the same for United. They're through as well. So I'd imagine both Manchester sides will be resting and rotating as much as they can.
Okay, so, and we'll find out the team news shortly. So it's Man City versus Everton. I've gone with 4-0 The history, however, now this is quite interesting. You may want to take notes. So there's been a pattern with this fixture. It's gone like this: draw, win, draw, win, draw, win. The 3 draws have actually all come at the Etihad. So the history's going to go with 1-1. I'm going 0. Just to let people know regarding captaincy options. Now, Aguero, if he's fit, he's played against Everton 5 times out of 6, one of them being a sub-appearance. He's only scored once. Possible Sterling captainers. He's played Everton 6 times, one of them being a sub-appearance. He scored twice, got 1 assist. Sane has played only twice against Everton, has got a goal. So again, you may want to, whatever you want to read into that. So yeah, Dan, Manchester City versus Everton.
Yeah, I think regardless of what happens tonight, Man City are going to be like a wounded animal still after last weekend and the defeat at Chelsea. They played well in the first half, like I say, they played really well, but second half, Chelsea was on top and deserved the win. So, like I said, Everton got quite a good record there, though. But yeah, I'm thinking it will be 3-1 to Man City.
3-1 to Man City. I've got a bit of a benching headache with this particular game. I think we all know who that's going to be, but it doesn't. Jason, you've got, well, you haven't got now because you've already done your transfers early, and we'll talk about that later. But you will have 2 Man City assets in this team. Are you confident ahead of this game for Sane and Sterling?
Yeah, I think John Hatcher has mentioned it in chat as well. They've got to fight for top spot. They're no longer top dog. They're going to want to get back onto the top of the log, and I can see Everton being absolutely pummeled at the weekend. I really can, and I would imagine that Sane and Sterling will be starters. I will be absolutely shocked if they're not. Obviously, you're going to be paying close attention to the lineups this evening. It'll be interesting to see if Aguero, because I tell you what, if Aguero is back, then that's gonna really throw a few transfers in. I think for the weekend, I think it'll be a lot of people getting hold of Aguero come this fixture, and because Jesus doesn't look anywhere near good enough for me, and I think Pep's really realizing that there's only one main man at City up front, and that's Aguero. And my armband is currently on. My armband is currently on Sterling right now as we speak. And I'm hoping that I don't change my mind. But events of this week, midweek of events, and any team news on Friday could obviously persuade me. But at the moment, it's stuck on him, on Sterling.
Okay,
I'm going to go with a 4-0.
4-0, same as me. Yeah. So on to the next fixture. It's Crystal Palace versus Leicester. I believe Zaha is out for this game. He got his 5th yellow card, so he's not there, which basically means that Crystal Palace ain't got a hope in hell. Saying that, they're probably now going to win. I think Leicester are actually going to just about edge this. They haven't been playing that great recently, and I just think that although I think that they will just edge past Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace are very poor at home this season. I think their only win came against us, but anybody can beat us. Burnley, for anybody that doesn't know. So I'm going Leicester 1-0. The history is going 2-1. Now, the last 2 fixtures have ended 5-0 and 3-0 to Crystal Palace.
Wow.
But Leicester had a red card in each of those games. Prior to that, Leicester had won 3 and drawn 1. So the history is going to go with a 2-1 victory to Leicester. What do you think, Dan, on Crystal Palace versus Leicester?
Yeah, it should be. I mean, Crystal Palace have really slipped the last 2 games, letting 6 goals in away to West Ham and Brighton. So, and then Leicester obviously lost to Spurs, but before that they were doing quite well. Schmeichel was getting me some really good returns, so I'm tempted between him and Patricio this weekend. I'm going to go for 1-1 actually. I'm going to sit on the fence this time.
I mean, this is, for me, Jason, this is actually... Yeah, Dan?
No, I was just saying it's a tight fixture.
Team news is out for City. If you want to just pause a second.
Yeah, go for it, Jason.
So Sterling and Sane both in the starting lineup with Bernardo Silva, Ben Foden, and Gundogan. Gabriel Jesus up front.
Ben Foden?
Yeah.
Phil
Foden, sorry. Why did I say Ben Foden? Phil Foden and Gundogan behind Sane and Sterling with Bernardo Silva as well. So, yeah, it's an interesting lineup. I mean, with Sane and Sterling...
Quite a strong team.
Yeah, very strong. And, I'm still confident that Sane and Sterling would still retain their spots for the weekend. I'm hoping anyway. So, yeah, that's the lineup. You got so starting from the beginning, you got Edison in goal, Laporte, Stones, Otamendi, Zinchenko, with Gundogan, Foden, Sane, Bernardo Silva, and Sterling in midfield, and Jesus up front. On the bench, we've got Mirik, Walker, Company, Delph, Mahrez, Diaz, and a player who I'm not familiar with, M. Chenna.
Diaz is a good one for the future. I reckon he'll be in our FPL teams in 3 or 4 years' time. Well, maybe 2 or 3 years' time.
There we go.
But what I was going to ask you, Jason, though, just going back to the Leicester game, is that maybe potentially looking at Maddison he used to be in everybody's team, and then he got red carded, then he got injured, or vice versa. Last 3 fixtures, he's got 2 goals. Is he somebody potentially on your radar? 6.8.
Not immediately on my radar, no, but I think he's still in the peripheral. I think there's a lot of other options. Like I've just brought in Snodgrass, for example. His fixtures are very nice. He's also involved in set pieces. Seems to be getting in with the points. There's obviously Richarlison at that price point. You've got Felipe Anderson. There's a lot of players now rising up into the focus of FPL managers. Maddison's it's been a few months now since the hype of Maddison. Could it return? Could it return? Yes, it could easily return, but obviously there's going to be half an eye on him at the weekend. This fixture's pretty good on paper for Leicester. He could easily return a goal or an assist in this match and throw himself back into the spotlight for FPL managers looking to try and downgrade perhaps a more expensive midfielder option to afford a Harry Kane addition to their team. For those managers, if there are any managers tuning in that have decided, like me, to not get Harry Kane against Burnley, then we can all hold hands and hide behind the sofa together, because I will be very, very worried come this weekend.
Well, looking at Maddison's next few fixtures, to be honest with you, it's not worth bringing in because he's got Chelsea and Man City next, though. Someone just to forget about, and something to forget about will be the next fixture. This is going to be absolutely dreadful. Huddersfield versus Newcastle. I'm going 1-1. I think they're going to cancel each other out. Could be 1-0 either way. More in favour of Newcastle, ironically, because I believe they do quite well away from home. But the history's going in favour of Newcastle. Well, 2-1. Last season, both teams, they won 1-0 apiece, coincidentally, both at home. However, prior to that, there had been 18 goals scored, 10 in Newcastle's favour, 8 in Huddersfield. So, like I said, the history's going 2-1. Dan, what do you think on this game, Huddersfield-Newcastle?
It's a massive game for both teams. I know I say that every week, but this is a 6-pointer. Newcastle, after losing to Wolves at home, Benitez will be just saying we cannot afford to lose this game. I think they'll do a similar thing they did earlier in the season away to Crystal Palace. Basically, sharp, get a point and get out there with a result. So I'm going to go on all. Benitez, I can read your mind.
Right then, Jason mentioned it just now, and it's Tottenham versus Burnley. Everybody's been banging on about Harry Kane and stuff, but the second I read the statistics, I was like, oh, I'm actually going to change my mind about captaincy. So, despite the fact that Tottenham have won 4 out of the last 6 fixtures, there's been 2 draws in that, including one of them at Wembley. Harry Kane's only scored 3 times against Burnley, and that was that hat-trick last season. He's played against Burnley 4 out of 6 times. The history's going, despite the fact that the history has actually been in Tottenham's favour, it's going 3-1. Like I said, Kane's actual scoring against Burnley has been rubbish. And despite the fact that I'm going 3-0, I actually think that it may be possibly wise to maybe captain Son, possibly. Now, I think that Tottenham are going to have shots for fun here. It's probably going to beat the world record for the amount of shots conceded. Harry Kane does get a lot of shots on target. I mean, as I said, as it stands, I think through the fear factor, Harry Kane is my captain. However, there is another player on my team, Aubameyang, who actually I think has got more chances of doing better than Harry Kane, personally. If anybody in the chat has got any thoughts on the Harry Kane captaincy, even though I'm pretty sure that anybody with Harry Kane will captain him.
Well, we've got...
I'm going 3-0 to Tottenham. Yeah, sorry, Jason, go on.
3-0 to Tottenham. And you're worried about captaining Harry Kane after that statement?
Only based on the history, because, you know, ironically, we've been a lot worse in the past than, barring this season. And ironically, last season when we were at our best. Well, he's only scored 3 times, so there was that one happening.
Well, Spurs are going to be in a really good mood, especially after surviving in the Champions League last night. Putting up a really good performance against Barcelona. I am worried. I am very, very worried about Harry Kane this weekend. I've decided to go away from the route of Harry Kane, and it could easily come back and bite me. Especially after my last few game weeks have been just declining. My rank has been declining, and it's because I've been trying to look at other things. I'm trying to break away from this sort of like
template.
Yeah, the whole... I want to say the word bandwagon. It is kind of a bandwagon. But I want to try and stay clear of this possible trap that Harry Kane could lead me into. And
I agree.
Like, I've been in this for a couple of times this season. I've jumped on Harry Kane. He's not performed. I've been very disappointed. It's a lot of money to have in one player. I've chose to keep hold of Salah. He rewarded me last week with a hat-trick. Without that, God, I could have been... God knows where my rank would be. But people in chat are saying captain. Dejan and Checo saying Kane is captain for me. Jack Gleason saying Kane's not necessarily nailed, which kind of is a question. There's a question mark now, because I thought he was pretty much nailed, but obviously not. Maybe against, no disrespect, but maybe not against the top half teams. He will be rested. Then we got Finch Chapman saying Kane hat-trick will leave Jason crying a river. It all depends on if my assets also score big as well. Obviously, I've chosen to keep hold of Salah. He's got United. I've got Sterling still, which I think could get something. And obviously, what Steve-O's just alluded to. Aubameyang. So Aubameyang is also another player that I've chose to go with over Harry Kane. So hopefully he can score something at the weekend as well. So if all of those options get something, I'm hoping that I can reduce the damage of a Harry Kane brace or something like that, because I've got this picture in my head that he's going to do something, and I really hope he doesn't. But then Burnley, with a great win last week, could be kind of buoyed by their recent turn in form, and who knows, might put up a great performance. Joe Hart might have an absolute inspiring game, and everyone will be like, "Oh my God, Joe Hart's got like 20 saves." And
to be honest,
he has 20. He has 27
doing
games. To be honest, but
Joe Hart's
Dan, what do you think on this game?
Well, as I was trying to say, Joe Hart's been doing that most of the season, but there's only so many shots he can save, really. But obviously Tottenham are going to be on a big high after qualifying to the next round in the Champions League, Barcelona. But maybe there could be a bit of fatigue setting there as well after that big game. But one player I'm interested in is on my watch list, who was really hot early season. It's Lucas Moura. And that's not just, because what is he, 7 million now, I believe? Is it still 7 million or 7.1?
It's around that mark.
Keep chatting, Dan. We'll find out.
So he started to get a few returns recently, and obviously got the goal last night. And it's quite interesting looking at that Tottenham midfield. Obviously got Son, Kane. I am tempted to double up on Tottenham's midfield just because of the fixtures coming up. But for this game, Harry Kane will score, and I'm going to go for 2-0 to Spurs, fortunately.
2-0 to Spurs. So you're not confident it's going to be a battering then? You just think...
No, I don't, because Burnley are going to...
With Son getting both goals, right? Son getting both goals.
It could be Son. He's on Song at the moment. But yeah, no, Lucas Moura is an interesting one, just with these games coming up, and even Dele Alli as well is doing quite well with recent. Obviously got points at Leicester, so there's definitely some options to consider in the midfield there.
He is 7 million, Dan. You were right there. On to the next game. Another. I'm sure, Dan, if you saw the game, or even Jason saw the game, you'll be able to enlighten me even more. But it's Watford. They're up against Cardiff. And I don't know why. I just think that Cardiff are going to take advantage of Watford's recent poor form. I think they're going to win 2-1. And funny enough, the history's going on that way as well. It's going 2-1. Watford have only beaten Cardiff once out of 6. Cardiff winning 3 times. A couple of 1-0s in there as well. Dan, what do you think on Watford versus Cardiff?
Wow, Watford was so close to getting 3 points on Monday. They must be absolutely gutted with that result. 3 points was so close. But I don't know. I mean, Cardiff have been doing really well recently, but I just got this feeling now that Watford have started to score a few goals. I think they'll get the win, actually. I think it will be... I'm going to go 2-0 to Watford. We'll watch for Ryan Pereira, my peripheral, as Jay says.
On to the next. Now, this really is a university derby for Dan. It's Wolves versus Bournemouth. I think that Bournemouth are going to beat Wolves here. I think that Wolves play the kind of game that Bournemouth want to play against, which is that counter-attacking style. I think Bournemouth will just pick them off. I think after the disappointment of that 4-0 loss against Liverpool last week, complete different kettle of fish here. Wolves' form against the so-called poorer teams isn't that great. I think Bournemouth are going to win 2-1. The history, again, siding with me here, is going 2-1. They've only met twice in their history, and Bournemouth both winning twice, 2-1. Dan, Wolves versus Bournemouth.
Yeah, like you said, University Derby. It's a split loyalties on this game, but Bournemouth got absolutely battered on Saturday, and like I say, Wolves got 2 back-to-back wins. Oh, it's a tough one. I think there's going to be lots of goals in this game. I'm going to go for goals galore. I'm going to go for 2-2 draw, actually.
Wow. Oh, a lot of people are talking up Jota, potentially someone that's come into form recently. Maybe this is potentially a game to look at. On to the next game, where I do believe will be goals galore here, and I certainly think it will be certainly for West Ham. And I think Jason, with his transfer last week, was it Snodgrass and Chikorita that you brought into this
Absolutely.
week, Jason?
Little P and Snodgrass straight in the team. Goodbye, Mitrovic. Goodbye, Højbjerg. You served me well.
So it's Fulham versus West Ham, and of course Fulham are absolutely God's gift to anybody that's lacking in confidence in front of goal. And I think that West Ham are just scoring for fun at the moment here, and I believe that West Ham are going to have some fun. I think they're going to annihilate Fulham. I'm going 4-1. The history is on the side again. They're going 3-1. And there's been a minimum of 3 goals scored by a team 4 times in this fixture. 3 of those times were by West Ham, and the other 2 games ended 2-1 each way. So, yeah, it looks like potentially a captain choice of Felipe Anderson here, or even Chikorito. Although, when I looked at Chikorito's statistics here, weirdly, he seems to score a goal blank, score a goal blank, score a goal. You get the idea there. So maybe he won't score in this particular game week. But yeah, I'm going 3-1. The history's going I'm going 4-1. History's going 3-1. Dan, what do you think on Fulham versus West Ham? A game that's literally going to be happening up the road from my work.
Yeah, another sort of London derby and whatnot. Like I said, when Claudio Ranieri took over Fulham, he's not going to be able to work miracles overnight. He's going to need that January transfer window to get some defenders in, because they let in 4 away to Man United, okay, and they let in 2 at home to Southampton. West Ham seem to be Pellegrini likes this attacking style of football. Snodgrass, who did really well for me a couple of years ago when he was at Hull, getting the assists in there, looking good value. Hernandez. I'm going to go 3-1 to West Ham, I'm afraid, for Fulham fans. What about you, Jay? Let's get a prediction from Jay. See what he's saying now.
I think there's going to be goals in this game. I think Fulham's leaky defence is going to be exposed once again. I think it's going to be possibly 3-1 to West Ham.
So on to the next game, which is Brighton. This is Sunday afternoon now. Brighton versus Chelsea. I think that Chelsea are just going to do a professional job here. I think it's going to be really tight, though. Brighton are good at home. I think Chelsea are just going to edge this. I'm going to go with 1-0. The history's, though, going with another tight one, 2-1. They've only met 3 times, and the last 2 have ended 4-0 to Chelsea. And that was away from home. They beat them 2-0 at home, and the last time, the third time, was a 3-1 win to Brighton, would you believe? Dan, is this potentially a hazard watch?
Yeah, I mean, man, like haven't had Hazard for some time now, but with Chelsea's fixtures coming up and obviously beating Man City, morale is going to be really high as well. So I think it'll be, like I said, a professional job, 2-0 to Chelsea. And I've got a feeling that Hazard will get some good returns. He'll be rested up tomorrow in the Europa League game. It's like a dead rubber. So he'll be fresh and fit and raring to go on Sunday. So, yeah, 2-0 to Chelsea.
So on to a potential differential captain choice, certainly for myself. And as it stands, like I said, I haven't actually got Aubameyang as captain as of yet, but I think probably at the end of this podcast I'm actually potentially going to change my mind, and I am going to go with Aubameyang. But it's Southampton versus Arsenal, and I think this is the ideal fixture again for Arsenal. I think that they're going to be enjoying this game. They're going to go there and win comfortably 3-0. History though is not suggesting that. It's going with another tight game. 2-1. There's been 19 goals involved in this fixture. Arsenal scoring 13 of them. There's been 3 clean sheets involved in this fixture. Bizarrely, they've all been away from home. 2 of them for Arsenal and 1 of them for Southampton. So, Dan, I would like to think you're confident ahead of this game.
Well, it's funny you say about the clean. I mean, 2 years ago, it was around Christmas time. It was Boxing Day, actually. Chelsea. Southampton beat us. Yeah, 4-0. Yeah. So if you had Shane Long in your team that particular game week, you'd have been having a very happy Boxing Day. So I'm a little bit worried, but I'm just thinking from a fan's point of view. Got this game against Karabag. Going to send out the kids and the kit man tomorrow, so I don't have to worry about that. But I'm going to say 2-0 to Arsenal, and I reckon Aubameyang's going to get a brace.
Yeah, I mean, going on that, do you think that Aubameyang's actually a good captaincy option?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, even though we had a quiet game against Huddersfield, he still got the assist. I think everyone, looking back at it now, it's all very well looking back with hindsight, but, Huddersfield were always going to sit deep and defend rigidly and, put up a brick wall, basically. But, yeah, I think, like I said, once again, with the fixtures coming up, Aubameyang, the form that he's been in this season, and Lacazette's, he's not really been getting the minutes. So, yeah, I reckon Aubameyang's a great captaincy choice going forward.
Yeah, I mean, looking at his stats here at the moment, it doesn't really seem to bother him where he plays, whether it's home or away, although 2 out of the 3 double digits have come at home. And funny enough, his one of his big hauls was 15 points, and that was in his 28-minute cameo when he scored 2 and got an assist versus Fulham. So I'm just looking at that and thinking, actually, it doesn't really matter if I was to captain him or not. I think he's still a really good option to get something at least. So on to the final game of the weekend. It's the big one, Liverpool versus United. Oh God, this is very, very. Actually, do you know what? It's not tough to call. I think Liverpool are going to destroy United. I think United are a joke at the moment.
Jay's, I can see the anger on Jay's face now.
Talking of professionalism here, I think that Liverpool are going to do a professional job. I think it's going to end 2-0, but history is not going that way at all, and there is a pattern here. So it's gone. So there's been 6 fixtures, like I keep banging on about, and a pattern of 4 draws of 0-0, 1-1, 0-0, 1-1. You know, the last 2 at Anfield have actually ended 2-0 as well. However, the last 2 fixtures between this team, although admittedly one of them was a friendly, a Champions Cup or something, where Liverpool won 4-1, but the other game was a 2-1 victory to United. I think, like I said, Liverpool are going to win comfortably 2-0, although any potential Salah captain, as he's played him twice and got nothing. History's going 1-1. We'll start with you, Jason, as a United fan. What do you think on this game?
I can very much see this game week being one of those where you put your FPL hat on and your football fan hat on, and normally wear them at different times. And I, as a United fan, nothing would please me more than to beat Liverpool and for David De Gea to keep a clean sheet. As an FPL fan, owning Mohamed Salah, on the other hand, my heart wants a United victory, but going on recent form, I think United haven't got the ability to park the bus like they used to. And Jack Gleeson saying there's a large bus currently en route to Anfield. I don't think Marcos Rojo is going to be enough to keep out the likes of Mane and Salah. I think there's goals for Liverpool in this game, and a 3-2 victory for United would do me with Mohamed Salah brace. But I just can't see it happening.
We had a Instagram follower, and if anybody wants to follow us on Instagram, it's @EliteFPL. Going by the tagline of Baja.R. But he actually sold Salah for Kane this week. Do you think that was a good move, Jason? Obviously, that wasn't a direct swap, but to fund the move.
I think there's a lot of people that want Kane in.
The fear factor, isn't it?
There is the fear factor. I think that's the main reason people are bringing. I mean, obviously Burnley conceding a lot of shots. I think one of the highest amount of shots. I think them and Fulham and Bournemouth, the 3 teams that are conceding the highest.
And then Southampton. No, you're right.
Yeah. So I can definitely see why people are transferring out Salah. I mean, United could put up a barrier. I just don't see it holding up for much longer than 10 minutes. I'd imagine there'd be a goal in the first half for Liverpool, and like I said, there's only a certain amount of transfers you can do to get Kane in if you haven't got the money. And if you've got Salah in your team, it's going to be either him, Sterling, or Hazard that's going to have to give way to enable a Kane without having to rip the rest of your team up. But those of people on wild cards, obviously, they can build a team around him. But yeah, personally, I think Salah is better player. I think Salah's a better player than Harry Kane, and I would be holding on to Salah over Kane myself. And it's for the next couple of weeks, well, for the next few weeks at least. Obviously, going into the busy Christmas schedule, you guys can, with owning Kane, you can either look at me with a big smug smile on your face, or you can be there thinking, you know what, Jace, I think you might have been onto something when you held on to Salah. But that's the beauty of FPL. Not every team's the same, and not everyone has the same thought process. You can digest all the statistics, you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to other people's opinions on forums and communities, but the whole dilemma of Sterling, Hazard, Kane, Salah, trying to fit which combination of players is really healthy, I think, for the FPL, because nothing worse than seeing the same team being posted up again, thinking, I've done these transfers. Yeah, well, you've done those transfers, but so's 80,000 other managers this week.
So, Jay, you didn't give us what's your prediction then? 3-2 Man United?
Yeah, 3-2 Man United.
Paul Pogba hat-trick. No, I mean, I don't know if there's any team news for Man United's game against Valencia tonight, whether it's too early or...
It might be too early, isn't it? I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Well, whilst you're looking, I'll just sort of give my thoughts. I think, obviously, Liverpool, they qualified in Champions League. I watched them last night, and Andy Robinson, I don't know what he's eating for breakfast, but I want some of it because he was just bombing down that wing, constantly involved.
Just hold on there, Dan. I'll give you the United team
Yes,
news.
yeah.
De Gea in goal, Young, Jones, Rojo, and Delop. Fellaini, Matic, and Fred. Rashford, Lukaku, and Jesse Lingard up top.
Okay, fair enough.
Wait, did you say Young?
Fairly strong team.
Ashley Young, yeah.
And Delop.
And Delop, yeah.
Where are you getting that from?
Looking at the livescore.com.
I'm on their Twitter, and 30 minutes ago they posted the starting 11 against Valencia as being Romero in goal, Valencia, Jones, Bailly, and Rojo, with Fred, Fellaini, Pogba, Mata, and Lukaku.
Wow.
Will the real Man United please stand up?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna go with their Twitter.
The official Twitter, yeah, of course, yeah.
That sounds like better than playing bloody Matic and Fellaini in the same. I don't know why they do that, unless they're playing against someone really good like Arsenal. But no, I think United can kind of take it easy tonight because obviously they've qualified and Liverpool had a big game. Do you know what, Mourinho? I think he's just going to pull something out of the bag. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. So
yeah, it follows the pattern here. I mean, there's been, like I said, it's gone 0-0, 1-1, 0-0, 1-1. There's clearly a pattern going on.
I mean, they got the win at Juventus. They got a draw at Chelsea. They got a draw at home to Arsenal. Although you always do well against us, but although Salah, I mean, talking about Salah, we always talk about form. I mean, he's looking amazing at the moment. The goal he scored last night, though, Spina kind of did him a bit of a favour by diving down before he even had a shot. But yeah, he's looking really full of confidence again. So I'm pretty worried, obviously.
What are the guys saying in chat, Jason?
Right, so I'm going to scroll back up in chat. So Dejan Seko says that Chelsea is the ultimate troll team. Well, they've been up and down, haven't they? They've been up and down. I mean, got some good results and some not so good results. Jack Gleason saying there's a large burst. I've already read that one out. Who knows? Dejan also goes on to say, as I see, Lacazette 90 minutes UEFA, Obama 90 minutes at Southampton. Would love to see him this week, but I can't have them all. Again with the Unai Emery, I mean, will he start both of them? Will he start one of them? I personally think, and Dan can interject here because it's his team. I think Arsenal will look a lot better with both of them on the field. They just look so. The chemistry that they got between them is really good. And I think that Unai Emery, if he doesn't see that, I mean, yeah, there is, obviously resting players, limiting minutes, trying to, but from a purely footballing point of view, both players on the pitch seem to be the best for Arsenal. We got sorry, Jack. Dan.
Yeah, no, I'll just say quickly, obviously, against Huddersfield, we played Guendouzi, Torreira, who's maybe a potential interesting option. Going forward as a cheap midfield option with the good fixtures coming up, getting into some attacking positions, even for a defensive midfielder. But, yeah, we didn't give Lacazette and Aubameyang any service. We just played, I said, Torreira, Guendouzi, and Granit Xhaka. So they need service. It's trying to accommodate all these players into the team. So if you're thinking of an Arsenal forward asset, it's got to be Aubameyang because he's getting the goals, he's getting the minutes. So I would personally go for Aubameyang. But like I said, it's a great player. We're glad to have both of them at my team. So
Jack is telling Steve-O off going on live score to look for team news. He said, always go on Twitter. And John Hatcher in chat saying, I feel that Liverpool's midfield will boss that game. Well, if it all depends on what Paul Pogba shows up, really. And
such an enigma.
He's kind of, I would say, off the boil. I don't think he's been on the ball for a few months now. But yeah, I don't want to think about that game. 3-2 United. 3-2 United. Torreira is on 4 yellow cards, so one more he gets a game back. Yeah, that's another one. But then, will Pogba even start? Who knows, John? Who knows? Depends if he's had another run-in with Mourinho in the training ground. After Christmas, it changes to 10 yellows equals 1 game ban after Christmas. Does it? Does anyone know that?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. But
wow, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, so moving forward, what are your plans, Jason, for the... You've kind of already alluded to it. What's your team for this week? You've already done your transfers. Just remind the viewers / listeners of what you did on Sunday evening.
Right, so basically during the podcast on Sunday, we were talking about our teams. We were talking about options going into this weekend. I was frustrated. Obviously, I had 3 Man City midfielders in, all of which didn't perform. There was an injury to David Silva, or a slight muscular injury, which has now been red flagged on FPL. But that was not red. It was yellow at the time. Obviously, I had Højbjerg in my team for many minutes since pretty much the beginning, and I also had Mitrovic, who again didn't return anything. So I, in discussion with Dan and Steve-O, we're talking about West Ham. Now I already own Fabianski, and I've seen their fixtures. I've been looking at their fixtures for quite some time, and I can't ignore that they have been scoring goals. Namely, you've got the little P, Chicharito. You've got Felipe Anderson. You've got Snodgrass. Great options. And they're really good prices. So what I decided to do was I decided to get out David Silva and bring in Son for Tottenham, because I believe that Son at his price is a really good player. I think it's 8.3. Absolutely amazing. And he's an absolute... He offers Spurs something which I don't think many other Spurs players actually live up to. I mean, he's a very menacing player on the ball. He's very lively. He's got bags of energy. He run around for 90 minutes without even... Doesn't seem to even get in. Like, he doesn't seem to get injured that much either. So yeah, I brought... Yeah, touch wood. And so I brought Son in. I've brought in Snodgrass for Højbjerg. Let me bring my team up now. So I've got Chicharito in for Mitrovic. So going into this game week, I have got a selection issue between Wilson or Snodgrass, tripling up with West Ham versus Fulham. But I don't know whether or not Sane and Sterling will play. I hope they will, because they are both in the starting lineup for tonight's game. So I'm covering myself with Wilson as first sub. So if one of Sane or Sterling don't play, then Wilson will come on. So my team at the moment is set. The captain, however, of my team isn't. It's on Sterling at the moment. I may change my mind. As we've discussed in this podcast, the likes of Aubameyang, even Chicharito, Mohamed Salah at home to United, or even Son at home to Burnley are really good options. So I have got some really good captaincy options this weekend. So I will be thinking over the next few days, very long and hard, about who I should throw the armband on. So yeah, that's what I did with my team.
And nice. And Dan, what are you think? Have you done any transfers this week?
I was tempted, but I'm going to kind of wait for the press conferences on Friday try and be measured. But I think the main thing for me is obviously get rid of Glenn Murray because he's had, he's been rested and then he's had this injury. And the irony is, of course, I mean, Glenn Murray did okay for me when I brought him in for a mid-range sort of cheapy striker. He's done okay, got some returns, but
just to interject, his fixtures are just red. Chelsea, Bournemouth, Arsenal.
It's time to cheers, Glenn, out the door, basically. But the really annoying thing is that I got him in, but because I got him in, I couldn't get Felipe Anderson in, and that has just burnt me something chronic because my main rival, and I know you're watching, Dale Bellamy, we've been trading places very consistently, and he's our current champion of the Torbay Elite mini league that we take very seriously. He's ruled himself out of contention for the title. But yeah, that camera from Fulham is very interesting, and we had a comment on our Instagram feed about camera as a very cheap striker because I've gone very top heavy. Got Kane and Aubameyang, and I'm quite tempted just to get in another cheap striker and then upgrade one of my midfielders. But another dilemma that I've got, and I'm sure you guys may be able to help me with this one, is Richarlison because of his next two fixtures. I mean, he's been getting good returns in the last two games, but I'm a bit concerned the next two games could be not very fruitful for him. I don't know what you guys think about Richarlison, and now he's back on the left wing, and whether he's worth keeping on to or.
But he got an assist. I'm just there. He got an assist versus United. He's up against City next. Like I said, their actual form against City over the last 6 fixtures is excellent. No denying that. There's been 3 draws. He's key to everything Everton do. Going on all that, I think moving forward, it's one of those where I think Richarlison's a keeper for the whole season, if I'm honest with you, unless he loses serious form over the next. I mean, looking at his next fixture, so it's City away, Spurs at home, but then he's got favourable fixtures with Burnley, Brighton, Leicester, and Bournemouth. Wow. So basically, out of the next 6, 2 or 3 of them actually contain teams which concede quite a lot. In fact, then there's Southampton as well in 7. I think Richarlison's just keep him for now. Personally, I don't. He's not an immediate get rid of it.
He's done pretty well for me this season, as he has for a lot of people. Some people captained him in the last game week in our mini league, but I mean, obviously, I'll be keeping my mate Doherty. He's becoming a bit of a potential FPL legend. Joining the ranks of like Cedric and Leighton Baines and David Silva and Riyad Mahrez, the FPL legends, because he's just providing great value for 5 million with the points he's got in the last 3 games. And that, as we all saw from my reaction in our last podcast, that 95th minute winner kind of not saved my game week, but just helped ease the pain of other bad returns. But I'm a bit worried about Laporte as well, the fact that he's playing tonight. Hoping that he's not going to get arrested on Saturday, but I've got a bad feeling he may be arrested, and that's a cause of concern as well.
Go on, Jason.
Yeah, so it's a few comments in chat which I'll read out. Just I'll let you put your point across, Steve.
No, I was just going to say the report has started every single game, barring that one in game week 15 against Watford when he came 1 minute. So I don't think Laporte is a rotation risk whatsoever. I think you're safe with it. I don't think. I mean, looking at your team, I really don't think that there's any concerns apart from. I mean, Jason, you didn't even bring him up either. Concern for all 3 of us, we all have him, is Trent Alexander-Arnold. How serious is this foot injury? Does anybody in chat know how bad it is?
He played last night. He played against Napoli last night.
He got the injury last night. That's the point.
I read a comment. I can't remember where it was. I think it was on Fantasy Football Scout. When I always have the comments loading up on there during the game week, just to see what people's reactions are. And someone wrote, "Do you still think saving that $1 million from Robertson really paid off TAA owners?" And like, it's kind of stuck in my head because like he is a lot cheaper than Robertson. Robertson and him have been getting some very good points, but Robertson seems to be ticking over and seems to be really like more consistent. And for the extra million, absolutely, I think Robertson for the extra million is a no-brainer for me. I mean, we're talking about nailedness, like and season keepers. We've got a few people in chat talking about players now. Jack Gleason is saying Doherty is the ultimate season keeper. I mean, people have got him in at 4.4, haven't done bad at all. And I think going forward, he's going to continue to bomb down the wing for Wolves. And like I said earlier on, Wolverhampton are a very good football team. And Jimenez again, Doherty, are going to prove to be very, very, very well owned. I think there's going to be high ownership of Wolverhampton players come the new year. And going up to the comments, we've got Jack Gleason's also said about my team. He said, Jason, I don't want to alarm you, but there's a very strong possibility that you'll only have 10 players this week. Well, Jack, I certainly hope not. I will be starting Trent Alexander-Arnold in the hope that he is fit to play, but I've got the reliable Cedric, who I think will play, and if not, Digne against City will play and probably get 0 points.
Talking of Trent, so of the last 9 fixtures, he's missed 3. He's not played in 3, but it was potentially him not playing against Burnley, but he was substituted on. So that's potentially 4 fixtures he would have missed, whereas Robertson has only he's not played in 2 of the fixtures, which, funny enough, was the Burnley. One of them was the Burnley game in Cardiff at home. So really, it's a case of actually Trent is probably the most rotation risk, obviously, out of the 2, and possibly out of the Liverpool back line. Maybe someone could possibly move on.
The thing is, against United, Klopp will want to play his strongest team, and I can't see James Milner playing right back. Personally, I mean, if he does, then what do I know? But he played well, but I think that Martial would rip him to shreds, personally.
For me, looking at my team for what I'm looking at ahead, I was very, very quite well. In fact, I wanted to do it, actually. I was originally considering Matt Ryan to Leno of Arsenal, but I thought to myself, actually, I'd rather bring in a Chelsea defender, and I'm missing out by 0.1 to get rid of Trent and bringing in David Luiz. I'm genuinely gutted about that, because that would have been absolutely perfect, or a perfect swap to bring in a guaranteed start from Chelsea for their favourable fixtures. But now it's a case of, I think I'm probably going to get rid of Matt Ryan and bring in Leno, because, as I've already stated, Arsenal's upcoming fixtures are absolutely fantastic. That you've got Southampton away. I mean, I can't see him conceding there. Burnley at home. We never score at the Emirates. And it's Brighton away. So the next 3, I said it on the last podcast, I generally see Arsenal getting a minimum of 2 clean sheets out of 3, and I think that transfer is actually going to pay off. But I'm still deciding on what to do with the Kane Aubameyang. I'm probably going to put it on Kane through the fear factor and just following the crowd. Although I am very, very concerned at the possibility of him not actually starting, considering he played last night. And I think Pochettino actually wants to give Kane more of a rest this season. Although, again, looking at it all here, there's no evidence in that whatsoever, other than the fact that he missed the game against Leicester, basically, and came on for 16 minutes. But barring that, obviously, as we all know, Kane is crucial to Tottenham's attack. It's just the whole thing of him playing a lot deeper. And apparently last night, I mean, Dan, you'll be able to let me know, the Kane again playing very deep, but it was mainly Son that was a bit more of the advanced player. And actually, possibly Son, looking at his form over the last few game weeks, last game he got a goal and assist. One before that against Southampton was a goal. Basically the last 4 that's where he's got all his returns, and maybe actually Son is actually staring me in the face and potentially could be that captaincy option after all. What do you think of that, Dan?
Yeah, it does sound good. I mean, like you say, particularly before with Lucas Moura and Kane was in that more withdrawn role, and Son seems to have brought life back into the Tottenham team, and their results have picked up. And as a differential captain, Son's very interesting because he's bang on form at the moment, full of confidence, and yeah, it could be an interesting one. But I think Pochettino was just thinking ahead, obviously with that key game against Barcelona, and also the fixture congestion over Christmas and New Year period. Just thinking ahead, so I reckon Kane's fairly safe, but he may be rested for perhaps one other game that's when it's needed.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Tottenham's fixtures because again, it's very, very the way they've structured their fixtures seems to be very unkind. So they're the only champion, well, barring Man City, actually, I take that back. But they're playing on Saturday against Burnley, obviously. Then the following week, they're the last game of Gameweek 18 when they're playing on a Sunday away at Everton. That's the 23rd of December. 2 days later, they're 3 days later on the Boxing Day, they're at home to at home to Bournemouth, and then 3 days after that it's at home to Wolves. So they've actually got 3 games out of the next 4 at home against actually pretty favourable opponents. I don't know what Pochettino is going to do with his rotation there, because like I said, they haven't really got any attacking options per se as an outright striker, unless he does decide to bring on, remind me of his name again, I've completely
Llorente. Fernando Llorente
right,
did very well for Swansea. Got some good points there years ago.
Yeah, Jason, any thoughts on this in the chat room, mate? What's being said, as they say?
Yeah, so John Hatcher says that his transfer in this week, Trent Alexander for Luis. So
Brilliant.
He's going to be hoping that Trent plays as well as me. Jack Gleason says if Aubameyang can get a good amount of nitrous oxide into him heading into the busy Christmas period, he could be a very good option.
Just to add to that, that whole this is completely off topic, but it's just the truth. That all happened before the season even started. It was just so all this nonsense about these hippie crack or whatever happened before the season started. So actually, do you know what? Give him as much as he wants, because if that's what he's going to produce on the pitch, then you give him away as much. But anyway, that aside, you were saying Jason,
that's just the Sun being rubbish and just talking absolute nonsense.
So Richard S says, I've just joined. I'm planning to bring in Sterling, Son and Hennessy for Hazard, David Silva and Dubravka for a -4.
Ooh.
How about that? Well, I removed David Silva, and I've also a few weeks ago removed Hazard. I do own Sterling, and I do own Son, and I think that those moves are very good. Do you need to do the goalkeeper transfer? What's your second goalkeeper? Can you do the Sterling and Son for Hazard and David Silva perhaps without having to take a -4? Because anything that involves taking a -4 for Hazard could backfire. Maybe I'll look into that. Paul Wickett says, I'm coming for you, Jason. So he's obviously looking to close down my... where are you? Oh, my God. He's 3 points behind me. And I've already taken a -4. So, Paul, if you don't take a hit this weekend, you know, you've already caught 4 points on me. So you'll be going ahead of me.
So the guy that's doing the Dubravka transfer for Hennessy,
yeah,
I would hold Dubravka because his next 2 fixtures are very favourable. He's up against Huddersfield this week, which I predicted. We've all predicted a low-scoring game. Newcastle's away form is actually, I think they've only conceded 7 goals this season away from home and whatnot. And I think they've kept the clean sheets that they have actually kept. If I look here, if it loads up, have all been away from home. So I think that would be a wasted transfer. I would just stick to your outfield players if I was in your position there. Sorry, Jason.
Yeah, definitely. Richard, I need to free up money with Dubravka to Hennessy. Otherwise, I can't afford Sterling. All right.
It's 5 in that, yeah. That's
So who's your other goalkeeper, Richard? Because if you've got another option in goal, then maybe those moves are worth doing for Sterling. I mean, I think that everyone here would agree that as a whole, Sterling has got a higher point ceiling than Hazard most weeks because City just score for fun. Obviously, they had that blip last week against a very, very good Chelsea performance. You get Fabianski in. Dejan says, "Yeah, I've gone with Fabianski. He's got right. So Hamer is your second goalkeeper. So you really do need to have a consistent goalkeeper. Then, I mean Hennessy. Maybe go Fabianski if you can afford Fabianski.
Hennessy's the classic Matt Ryan. Just seems to only get 2 points a game. Can't seem to get any save points whatsoever. If I look at the quick stats as I look at all this, I'm probably going to be proven completely wrong here. But based on when I owned him, he just each week just seemed to be bringing in just 2 points a game week. And well, yeah, I mean the last 6 has been 2-2, 10-6, 1-2. So barring that, wasn't in the United game, wasn't it just saves galore here? I mean, I can't really scroll along, unfortunately, but he was just saving anything aimed at him. But yeah, I think this game week is certainly going to be an interest. Funny enough, I've just noticed as I'm scrolling up along here, and this is going to interest everybody, and it happens every single year. It's the start of the FPL Cup, which everybody gets involved with. And every year, I always get knocked out in the first bloody round. So, actually, Jason, you'll be able to see what... Oh, no, we can't even see... that's annoying.
Someone in chat actually mentioned earlier on that doesn't qualification for the Cup, wasn't it the last game week?
Yeah, it says here the top 4 million, whatever it is, scorers in Game Week 16 were at the first round.
Yeah. So hang on. Who got the?
You got the assist.
No. Read that again. Read that status again. That's
so the top. Basically, the people that ended up in the top 4 million scorers of the game week in 16 were into the first round. However, I'm looking at for me anyway, and blah 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 blah. I'm looking at cup history.
Well, I think that do you know? Remember you mentioned Suman Gautam, who's currently fourth in our FPL league.
Yes.
That means he hasn't qualified for the cup.
Well, we'll find out now. Let's have a look. His game week rank was no, he didn't qualify.
Wow. Wow.
Exactly.
So unlucky.
Almost exactly 1 million places below what he needed to get. But I'm surprised normally it comes up with automatically the team that you're going to be playing. That's a bit annoying. I would have thought that, because obviously we're playing these teams from anywhere across the world in Game Week 17. Normally it would come up with a team. But the point I was trying to make is every single year, whenever it is the Cup, I always do that particular game week. I do absolutely appallingly, and a lot of good players seem to do really bad. I remember one year though, I went on, I think it was like 9 or 10 game weeks in a row, and funny enough, within our cash mini league, that's actually one of the prizes: who gets the furthest in the Fantasy Premier League Cup. And one year I did actually win it. I went on for like 9-10 game weeks. It just goes on and on. Just when you think like, I must be in the semi-final. No, just keeps going on and on.
I really I disagree, Dejan, who says the cup is crap. I disagree. I find it a nice little bonus. Like, if you obviously there's a lot of flukes that happen in the cup where like benched players like get subbed in and like you might lose by 1 point, but it adds a little bit more of a dimension to the game, and I find it quite entertaining.
What I find really fascinating about the cup as well, it's a bit like the FA Cup, I find, where you get drawn against a team that have got someone like Lukaku as captain, Marcus Rashford as vice captain, I don't know, some other random just players that never playing. Yeah, it would be that 1 week that Lukaku will decide to score. In fact, funny enough, in the 2-1 victory against Liverpool, who scored 2 goals, Jason?
In the what,
For
sorry?
United? In the United versus Liverpool game, when United beat Liverpool 2-1, who scored the 2 goals for United?
Lukaku.
I've just mentioned his name.
Lukaku.
Marcus Rashford. He scored both goals.
Yeah, of course it was. Yeah, that game.
Yeah, so it's just going to be one of those game weeks where you just know that it'll be a ghost team who knocks you out, who's got their captaincy on somebody who, for the first time ever, decides to score a goal. I agree with Jason. I find the Fantasy Cup really, really interesting to play. And I know the amount there's 4 million people that enter it, for crying out loud, but I always think, like, will I actually end up playing somebody within our league? I know for a fact that last year we had a couple of teams in our mini league which actually, bizarrely, were playing teams of the same name against each other. It was flaming so good. But
yeah, I played against a Japanese team last season. I just love the randomness of it as well. And I always think there'll be somebody in another part of the world, and they'll be like, "Oh, who's this team then? Bulldog Dynamos FC? Oh yeah, who does he think he is?" Like, it's just so random. I love it.
And also not to mention, also don't forget to mention that in our paid league, we've also got a prize. A cash prize for whoever.
Yeah.
Oh, oh, right. Okay, sorry. I obviously was reading. I was reading in chat that selective hearing. Sorry.
So any
more thoughts, or we'll just wrap it up?
Real Madrid apparently been beaten 3-0. Is that true?
What? They're doing rubbish this season. I reckon Hazard might jump ship.
Yeah.
Wow. What's happened to Real Madrid?
Well, they got rid of Zidane that won them Champions League 3 times in a row. That's what's happened to them.
I thought that Mike Bassett could have probably managed them.
You are right. They've updated the teams now, and Jason was right. It's Romero starting goal and so on and so forth. So yeah, Jason was completely bang on with that there. I don't know what happened here. Normally live scores are quite reliable, but in that case, had the City team news up. Okay, but not very peculiar. But sorry, Jason,
so I have a question for our chat. For the 15 of you guys watching, I've got music playing at the moment in the background. I've had it playing on and off pretty much all the way through the podcast. Is it detracting away from conversation? Is it a distraction? Do you like the music? Would you prefer it not to be there? Let me know. If you're watching the podcast when it's been streamed and you're watching the replay, please leave a comment. Let me know about the music, or maybe message me on Instagram or on Twitter. We always reply to messages. Bitcoin League next year. Bitcoin League. We're all gonna put in Bitcoin. You prefer the music not to be there?
To set up a 5-a-side team with our elite FPL players to play some real football.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
All right.
Ian Darlington in chat. The chat's lighting up now. The cup is a trap. If I took it seriously, then I would be worried about taking my off the general classification points. Trying to specifically beat one side each week doesn't work for me. No, but it's quite entertaining when you're halfway through the game week. You're looking at his teams. It's again that classic thing of why we did a podcast. I don't know, whatever it was, 4 or 5 weeks ago now, explaining why we do this, and we just completely lost my train of thought now. But it's looking into like how this game affects our lives, and for me, Ian's just brought on that perfect thing of where I'm only in one head-to-head league, and I really just don't really care about it. But whenever I do look at it, I just think, oh God, I've lost to whoever it is within that mini league or whatnot. And I am agreeing with Ian in the sense of, I do get distracted by the cup because I see the team who I'm playing, especially if I'm doing well. I don't think in the
the first round I really care. I just look at their team and just giggle. But I think the more and more further you would progress, yeah, I agree with Ian. It does genuinely become a distraction. And I do remember, like I said, when I went 9 or 10 game weeks, it may have been more than that, game weeks in a row, just continuing in it. I was taking that a lot more seriously than the actual mini league itself. And I mean, going on that, Jason, just quickly, do you agree with what Sai says, that you're kind of getting a bit distracted with your rank and trying to do all these, not unusual, but just all these differential transfers, which are actually, let's have it, be honest here, like a negative effect on your overall rank and your team in general? I
mean, I've always said straight from the beginning, from the first game week, and the second game week, and the third game week, when you were saying to me, Jason, you must be buzzing. You're the highest, in the top of the league. You're, top 1,000 in the world. And I was just saying, like, I'm just here to have a bit of fun. I mean, this game I do take seriously, but I want to have a bit of fun with it at the same time. And sometimes bringing in a player that's on the fringe that you feel is going to do well. I mean, Snodgrass, lots of people transferred him in, but a hell of a lot more people have brought in Kane and Felipe Anderson. And I think that, like, part of the excitement for me comes when you've got those differentials in your team and they score big. Even Salah the weekend. I mean, it's kick-started the weekend for me, and after that it kind of dimmed down. But it really like shines when you've made a transfer that's not that popular and it pays off, as opposed to just jumping on a player that's been mass transferred in, especially like price rises. We touch upon them, but lots of people do really get kind of like tied up on price rises, or they like, I need to get rid of Hazard because he's going to drop in price, or I need to get rid of Alonso because he's going to drop in price, or I need to get rid of Sterling, or I need to bring in Sterling because he's going to rise in price. Like, make the decision on merit, on the player's performance, on his fixtures. How long is that player going to be in your team? Is he going to be in your team for a couple of weeks? Is he going to be in your team for 6 to 8 weeks? Is he long term? Is he short term? Are you going to have to take a hit for him? Don't just... Lots of people I've noticed, like if you look at transfer trends, you got a lot of casuals and you get a lot of people that want to just build team value. Yeah, there's a lot of things in team value which you don't want to have a team that's 102 million when majority of us now are over 104 million. But naturally, price rises will happen anyway. If you make the right moves and you think long and hard about the transfers you bring in and plan ahead for fixture swings, and you will get team value. I mean, I quite often don't bother looking at price rises now, because I find that it may or may not have a slight sort of like reaction in my head to say, well, maybe I could do bringing him in because he's going to go up. And Aubameyang, I mean, God, he went up like 0.5, didn't he? Over like the last...
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, I was worried about, as well, because I was just worried about the price rise with his fixtures coming in. Yeah, well,
definitely. Sometimes price rises do come into it, because obviously if you had Aguero and you wanted to transfer out Aguero for Aubameyang, if you'd have waited to the last minute, you would have lost out on like 0.3, 0.4 million. So yeah, it's that I can see that occasion. But anyway, guys in chat. So yeah, we've had. Can I join your cash league next season, P? Kusu, absolutely. We will, as the season comes to a close, we will actually we'll do a podcast where we'll talk about our Torbay Elite League, which we take, by the way, if you don't know by now, but we take it very seriously. But we will open it up to more members. Every year we open it up to the same teams. Obviously, we re-invite them in, but we also are welcoming anyone else that may want to join it. But details about that league will be given, obviously, towards the end of the season. Obviously, we'll talk about it in pre-season, and we'll do our best to try and put across all the prizes that we do. We do quite a lot of them. It's a good league to be in. But absolutely, P, if you want to be in it, there'll be ample opportunity for you to join it.
Although based on, I mean, you can easily join the Elite FPL podcast that Jason's got the league code up at the moment, and based on that alone,
Bottom right corner,
even us three have got a chance of winning any money in that, for crying out loud. I mean, just on a quick, funny, amusing note, so somebody within our cash league who is Jermaine Thompson, he is 53rd out of 54. His overall rank is basically 4 millionth in the world, but he did qualify for the Fantasy Cup. The point being is, what I'm saying is that I look at his team and I'm like, who has these players? And yet he'll be the kind of team that someone like myself, Jason, Dan, or anybody in the chat that's doing really well will fail. So, for example, he's got Aubameyang and Kane up front. Fine, that's not a problem at all. But his midfield is Serre, Mahrez, Willian, Pereira, Jorginho. Will it be this week when Jorginho and Willian actually finally get some goals? Mahrez will start ahead of Sterling and get a hat-trick. He's got Van Dijk. Van Dijk will probably get an assist. Alderweireld will get his standard clean sheet. He's got Kepa. You get the idea. It's just one of those, really. But I think that wraps everything up, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I know Jermaine takes his. I know it's Jermaine. I'm the one that invited Jermaine into league. I know he takes his football very seriously, but still got a bit to learn with FPL. But I think that wraps it up for this podcast. Thanks to everyone that joined in the live chat. Really appreciate your contributions. If you're watching this on the replay, please give it a like, comment it on it as well, and make sure you subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, do it now. And we look forward to seeing you again on the weekend. Enjoy your game week and enjoy the football. And see you all soon. Thanks a lot.